You hear of slope being described as rise over run. Rise reminds me of the y-axis because it goes up and down. It rises, right? And run reminds me of the x-axis because you run on a flat ground, okay? You don't run like hopping up, straight up. So it's difference of the y's over difference of the x's. If you ever get confused and want to put the x's on top, just think of rise over run. The y's go on top, okay? That's what's rising. So if I have these 2 points here, 0, 1, and 2, 2, I'm going to name one of them x1, y1, and the other one x2, y2. And we just subtract the y's, so 1 minus 2, and 0 minus 2. And you make a fraction, and that's -1 over -2, which is 1/2. Your slope would be 1/2. Okay? If you were to do it on a graph, let's make the graph bigger. 0, 1 is right here, and 2, 2 is up here. You say I went up 1 over 2, so it's still 1/2. If you draw a monkey on the left side of your graph, and the monkey is looking at a line that is going away from him in an upwards position, that's going to be a good day for the monkey. He can get on the ski slope and ski down, and he'd have a good day, right? So that's going to be a positive slope. If, on the other hand, he's looking at a cliff overhanging over his head, right? That's going to be a bad day because he's going to have an avalanche hit him on the head and it's going to squish the monkey. That's going to be a negative slope. So whenever you see a line and you get an equation to that line, make one little check and say, well, I know that line has a positive slope. Oh, wait a minute. I got a negative slope, so I made a mistake. Like, check yourselves. There's ways to check yourself with slope. Does everybody understand that?
Yep. Yep.
If I have two parallel lines, that's the same skiing experience for anybody, right? It's going to go just as fast, one of those lanes as the other. As long as there's no trees in the way, it's the same skiing experience, or no avalanches, okay? So the slopes are equal. Now, what about perpendicular lines? Does anybody remember?
They're opposite.
Almost. You have to flip it 2/3 and change its sign. Two things. It's two words, opposite, which means the opposite sign, and also the reciprocal, okay? So when I have perpendicular lines, they have opposite reciprocal slopes. If one of them is the opposite reciprocal of the other, then you know those two lines are perpendicular, okay? If two lines have the same slope, you know they're parallel. You can conclude that. What's the land like in Kansas?
Oh no, we're not there anymore, Sarah.
It's flat. So Kansas looks like that. What is the slope of a flat horizontal line?
0.
It is 0. There will be 0 sleigh riding done there unless you have a rope and a Jeep, right? You can't do anything. It's just flat land. Got it? Now let's look at a cliff. What is the slope of a vertical line?
Undefined.
Huh?
Undefined.
Very good. It's undefined. And the way I look at it, that red lot in Kansas, I can make a beautiful home there because there's 0 slope. But you can't build a house, although my dad tried, on a cliff, right? He actually did it. Well, he built a shelf. But anyway, on a vertical line, you can't build a house because it would just be like, have you ever seen those guys that are kind of camping out on a cliff and they put this little like hammock on the side and they're up, they're crazy. Anyway, so it's undefined. Now let's look at that a little bit further. If the slope is 0, it could be 0 over any number. Let's say it's 0 over 6. That equals 0, right? What's the reciprocal of 0 over 6?
6.
6 over 0. And what do we know about a 0 in the basement?
It means nothing.
It's
Yeah, it goes to 0.
it's undefined. It's an error on your calculator. Okay? So whenever you get an error on your calculator, verify if the line is vertical or not, because then what you write is undefined. Do not write 6 over 0. Got it? Write undefined. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. What do we do first? The x's or the y's? Y's. -3 minus -5 over -2 minus 3. That is -3 plus 5 over -5, which is 2 over -5 or -2/5. Now I'm going to check and see if that makes sense. When I graph it, I have -2, -3. It's down here. And 3, -5 is down here. Is that guy gonna, that's a negative slope, right? So that makes sense.